28 draft slots are set. There are only 4 teams remaining. 2025 NFL Mock Draft V3 is on your way. Ayo, Lake City, tell them who I be.
And you don't know nothing, but I know that.
Mose Knows.
You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing.
Mose Knows.
You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that.
Mose Knows.
You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing.
Mose Knows.
You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that.
Mose Knows.
Beautiful people, Mose Knows fam, welcome into the channel. Listen, like I said, this is Mock Draft V3. The divisional round is over. 4 teams have been eliminated. That means we have 4 additional draft selections that are slotted. As I mentioned, picks 1 through 28 are set, unless there are any trades, but 1 through 28 are set. We have 4 teams remaining. Stay tuned to the end of this video. We'll get to chop it up about the conference championship games and what I think the outcome will be of those. But we're not going to overtalk it. Let's jump right into this mock draft. As we do, we are going to select all teams. We just want round 1. None of this other information matters because we are handling it all. Let's enter the draft. Titans are on the clock at 1. Now listen, I said for the first 2, version 1 and 2, that the draft starts at 4. But we just got information. Tennessee Titans have come out and said that a quarterback is not necessarily on their mind at number 1, that they won't pass on a generational talent. Now, if you ask me, this is posture. This ain't nothing but a Snapple Facts Bobcat. I'm calling it nothing but cat. I think they are posturing. They are selling themselves that, hey, we're not all in on a quarterback. So that maybe one of these other teams, like a Vegas Raiders, like a New York Jets, like a New Orleans Saints, one of those 3 teams that's in that top 10, maybe somebody right outside of that top 10. I think a lot of these teams have their quarterback situation solidified. But if you look at the Raiders, the Jets, the Saints, those are teams that could be looking for quarterbacks. If you want to jump the Browns, who also have a need at quarterback, and the Giants, who also have a need at quarterback, why not, as the Tennessee Titans, put that feeler out there that says, hey, we might not be going quarterback. If there's a generational talent on the board, we'll take them, so that a team can give you a enormous draft haul so that they can go up to number 1 and get the quarterback that they want. I think it's posturing. But, you know, for the sake of a mock draft, just to show what it could be like, let's call their bluff. Or should I say, let's call their buff. Travis Hunter, number 1. If a generational talent is on the board, they're not going to pass it up. How can you pass up a generational talent that is Travis Hunter? Listed as a corner, can play wide receiver. You can play him on both sides of the ball. I think there are some teams that, while they want to protect their investment, they are looking at the positive benefits of having a player of his caliber being able to play both sides of the ball. But we're going to call their bluff, and they're going to pick up the phone and call their buff. Colorado Buffalo, Travis Hunter goes number 1 overall. Dream come true for that young man. And so that changes the game a little bit here, because maybe the Cleveland Browns on the clock at number 2 were also thinking along those same lines. Hey, maybe teams think we're going quarterback. If the Titans go quarterback number 1 and only leaves us 1 quarterback on the board, we can maybe trade down for somebody who wants to jump ahead of the Giants, or we could take Travis Hunter. But now those options are off the board, but the quarterbacks are not. And I think they go Cam Ward here. So I'm going to go Cam Ward, number 2 overall. One of my top commenters in both V1 and V2 was very adamant that Coach Prime is not going to let his baby boy Shedeur Sanders go to Tennessee. But he feels that Coach Prime's baby boy could go to the New York Giants. And I think in this iteration of the mock draft, I think that's exactly what happens. Travis Hunter goes 1, Cam Ward goes 2, and the Giants get their quarterback. Giants go Shedeur Sanders, number 3 overall. And now we have the New England Patriots on the clock. I think they stay the same as we did in mock draft V2, and they go Abdul Carter. Here, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is also the same as mock draft V2, and they go defensive tackle Mason Graham from Michigan. And now we have the Raiders on the clock at number 6. Again, quarterbacks are off the board. Running back is a need, but I don't think they go Ashton Genty that high. Maybe now they do with new head coach Pete Carroll. Maybe he wants to ensure that he has a running back similar to Marshawn Lynch. I highly doubt it, because there's that infamous play call in the Super Bowl where they were on the goal line and should have handed the ball to Beast Mode, but Pete decides to call a pass play and Russ throws a pick. So maybe that's not it. Pete Carroll's a defensive-minded coach, and I think he stays on the defensive side of the ball. When his team was known as the Legion of Boom, that secondary was top tier. I think he finds a way to maybe start to recreate that with cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan here at pick number 6. And then the Jets are on the clock. Will Johnson's off the board. Mason Graham's off the board. There isn't a quarterback here for them to take. So they can go a bunch of places. Is there a defensive tackle to go here at 7? No quarterback to go here at 7. But defensive back is a need. And particularly if you look at this team, that back end and that safety room needs an upgrade. And I think the best safety on the board is here and available at number 7. Jets run to the podium and turn in their card. Malachi Stark, safety from Georgia, is the selection at pick number 7. And then we have the Carolina Panthers on the clock. I think whatever this pick is, it stays the same. It's going to be an edge rusher. At this point, whoever is available. Does Abdul Carter fall to 8? He did in V1, not so much in V2 and V3. But in V2, the Carolina Panthers had to get another Georgia Bulldog. And I think that stays the same here. Mykel Williams, edge rusher from Georgia, is the selection for the Carolina Panthers at pick 8. Saints are on the clock. Wide receiver, tight end, defensive line is a need. As I was looking at this, I didn't go this way. Now, I could throw myself off and completely change the whole game right now, but I'm not going to do that. I think this team stays on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they dealt with some injuries. Could they get wide receiver? Could they get tight end? Sure. But do they want to go T-Mac here at 9? It's possible. That doesn't seem like a stretch or a reach of the pick at 9. Tyler Warren at 9 might be a little bit of a stretch. But I think they stay on the defensive side of the ball. I think they go get a pass rusher. And I think that pass rusher is going to be Nick Scorton, edge rusher from Texas A&M, at 9 to the New Orleans Saints. Bears are on the clock at 10. I think no matter what, this has to stay offensive line. They have to protect Caleb Williams. They might be losing Tevin Jenkins, as I mentioned in V2. And new head coach Ben Johnson is coming from one of the best offensive lines in the league that allowed him to be so successful, both in the pass game and in the running game. And I think he's able to recreate that, or begin the process of recreating that, by selecting Will Campbell, tackle/guard from LSU. He can play inside, he can play outside. And I think he helps revamp that offensive line. My San Francisco 49ers on the clock here. Guard, tackle, defensive line. I think in V1, we went tackle. V2, somehow, some way, we're going to make it up out the hood someday. For those of y'all that know that reference, put it in the comments and let me know where that's from. But somehow, some way, Will Johnson fell all the way to number 11. Now, again, this is fantasy. We're doing a bunch of different scenarios of what could happen. We've seen great players fall all the time, depending on need, depending on where teams go. Some team might take a random or like, whoa, I didn't even think that they were looking at that particular person. Do I think that'll happen? No. More realistically, we do go offensive line or defensive line. And I think we can get a really, really talented player here at number 11. One of my favorite edge rushers in this class. I think we grab a young guy here, put him on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. We've tried it. We've tried the trade method. We've tried signing guys in free agency. Let's get somebody young. Let's get somebody hungry. Let's get somebody that is ready to come in and make a name for themselves. I love James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, and I think if he's on the board, he's definitely a viable option for my Niners at 11. This stays the same, no-brainer. Ashton Genty, number 12 to the Cowboys. I think that's a storybook fit. Gives them the running back that offense needs. And depending on who the coach is, you might be looking at having a stacked offense. Take a look at that offensive line later on in the draft, but I think we're solid there. Dolphins on the clock here at 13. Guard, tackle, D-line, and safety are a need. Let's go Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. Again, all the talk is that even after the surgeries that he should be ready by the time training camp starts. Not preseason, not week 1. He should be ready for training camp so that he can get in, get some good reps in, and be ready for the season if his number is called. They need help on that offensive line. Again, you got to keep Tua protected. So we're going to go Josh Simmons from Ohio State at 13 to the Dolphins. Colts on the clock at 14. I think this pick stays the same throughout most of these mock drafts. Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State to the Colts. Eventually, I might shake it up and do something different there. But with the way the draft shakes out from 1 to 13 before this point, I don't see anybody, taking Tyler Warren before that. But it's possible that the Colts could go a different direction and not go tight end at all. But if that's their number one need and the number one tight end is on the board, I don't see why you don't take them. Falcons on the clock at 15. There's a bunch of ways that we can go here. Edge has been one of the consistent ones. Wide receiver is listed as a need, but I think at this juncture, do I want to bring T-Mac in when I already have a wide receiver of similar build, of similar type? I don't see a need to have somebody of the same caliber as Drake London. So I think, T-Mac McMillan, as good of a talent as he is, I can see him slipping even past the Falcons here at 15. I'm going to go a different direction. I think with this defense, yes, they need edge rushers. But I think the edge can be helped out with a good interior pass rush. Some of the guys that they have are getting a little bit up there in age. So I want to inject some youth into that defensive interior. I'm going to go Kenneth Grant here at 15 to the Atlanta Falcons. Somebody to come in and be stout and stop in the run, push in the pocket through the middle, allowing that the offensive line scheme to kind of pinch in to close that down, giving the edge rushers more opportunity on the outside. So I'm going to go Kenneth Grant here. All right, I don't know if my girls are down here or upstairs, but I hear them. So you might hear some kids in the background. My apologies. 1 second. right. Sorry for that brief intervention. I just had to make sure I sent my little ones up the steps. Amen. On the clock at 16 are the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of options here. Guard, tackle, defensive line. I think Kenneth Grant is off the board now. Could they go edge rusher here? Sure. I do think this defense has a lot of needs. And I'm going to go a need that's not listed here, but a need that should be addressed. And I'm going to go to the secondary. I'm going to go to the cornerback room, and I'm going to snag Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame to the Cardinals at 16. You got to stop Puka Nacua. You got to stop DK Metcalf. You got to stop Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp if he stays, Jackson Smith and Jigba. You know, that's 2 wide receivers per divisional opponent. So you're going to need corners. I think the Cardinals go Benjamin Morrison at 16. Bengals on the clock. I think they see Benjamin Morrison come off the board. And while they could go pass rusher, that's a need for them. They do have the leading sack getter this year. And so one side is set. Maybe because this is a deep edge class, you can get, his running mate on the other side in the second or third rounds. But I think you have an option to get a top flight corner here. Once you see Benjamin Morrison come off the board, Will Johnson's already off the board, Travis Hunter's already off the board. You don't have an opportunity to get those 2 guys at 17. But I think you have an opportunity to get a really, really solid corner in Jahdae Barron, and you bring him into the fold of that defense, and off they go. Now, I think T-Mac could have went here at 17. Yes, they have Jamar Chase, but they had a good 2-man problem with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. T. Higgins is probably leaving in free agency, going to a team where he can be a true number 1. But you could replace him with T-Mac and still have a good 2-man option. I think T-Mac is also an option here for the Cardinals at 16. Yes, you went Maserati Marv in the first round last year. So is it likely that you go wide receiver back-to-back first rounds in drafts from year to year? No, which is why I didn't do that. But to have 2 young wide receivers on rookie deals for your quarterback, Kyler Murray, that would be a great problem to have. But again, you have Maserati Marv. Trey McBride is a target monster. So I don't know how much a first-round wide receiver is going to get targeted as the third option for that particular team. So let's spend that draft capital in somewhere that we can get immediate production and benefit from. Seahawks on the clock at 18. This pick for me is the same as soon as we can find them. They dropped him down lower than what he used to be. Because I know I didn't pick him yet. That's disrespectful. They doing my man dirty. Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia at 18 to the Seahawks. One of those picks that has been consistent across the board. Again, we might look to shake that up in other drafts, but I think that's a positive pick for the Seahawks there at 18. Buccaneers on the clock at 19. Now, see, here's the thing. Edge, linebacker, DB. It's a lot of options that we could go here. I like Shamar Stewart. I think he would be a good addition to that defensive line room. Jack Sawyer's still here. What DBs are left? Trey Amos, Siobhan Revel. Love those guys. Max Hairston, Azariah Thomas. Linebackers. I think there's only one other first round potential linebacker, but I don't think they go linebacker here. It's a little bit early. I'm gonna go Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from Texas A&M, to the Buccaneers at 19. Broncos on the clock here at pick 20. And so this is no disrespect to T-Mac. Do I think he falls out of the top 10? I think it's unlikely. But in this iteration of mock draft V3, he does. But I think he goes to a really, really solid situation. Wide receiver and tight end are the two top needs for this particular team. While I would love to go tight end here, I think Colston Loveland's on the board. They could go that here at 20. If T-Mac falls, I think this is a great pick for this team. You got a big body wide receiver who kind of resembles the size of a tight end, but he has the movement skills of a wide receiver. And then you have to think Courtland Sutton is on the last year of his deal. He's going to be 30 years old. No more guaranteed money. And it's possible he could be a post June 1st trade or cut to save the Broncos $14 million in cap. So there's a lot of things that could happen, a lot of moving pieces when it comes to Courtland Sutton. So I think you get another big body wide receiver, and then you have those two guys on the field on opposite sides of the field. And so that offense there in Denver can be more explosive than it was this year with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. So I'm going to go Tetairoa McMillan, a.k.a. T-Mac, wide receiver out of Arizona, at 20. A little bit of a run on wide receivers here. So as soon as T-Mac goes off the board, the Steelers say, we got to get our guy too. Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State off the board at 21. That was easy. On the clock, Jim Harbaugh, San Diego Chargers. He goes to the well from which he came and gets his quarterback a safety blanket, tight end Colston Loveland at 22. Packers on the clock, wide receiver, center, edge, corner. I could do something different, but I feel like they already have a Luther Burden type receiver in Jaden Reed. But I mean, they could go Luther Burden, just add some more explosiveness in that group. But I think they want to look at the defensive side of the ball. I think they go corner here. Again, that's a need. I think they go Siobhan Revel in this version of our mock draft V3 at 23, corner out of East Carolina. Big body corner, 6'3". Great movement skills, great ball skills. I think that's a great pick for the Packers at 23. The Vikings are on the clock. Offensive line is a need. They could go running back here at 24. Do you really want to go Omarion Hampton here? He is a first-round talent, no doubt about it. He's ranked 24. Average draft position is 27.7. Omarion Hampton has not been included in any of my first-round mocks to this point. And that's a combination of what the running back market has typically looked like, where running backs have fallen in the draft over recent years. Now has Saquon Barkley proven that the running back market is a very good market and has good guys and has great potential? I think absolutely. He's in the running for MVP, just as CMC was last year. CMC won Offensive Player of the Year, and I think this year that will be Saquon Barkley. But again, I don't think the Vikings go running back here at pick 24. I think they're going to go offensive line. We're going to go the best guard in the draft, Tyler Booker from Alabama here at 24. At 25, the Texans are on the clock. What did I do with the Dolphins? Okay. Yeah, we're going to switch some things up a little bit. Switch it up just a little bit. Okay. I have notes, but I'm also doing a few things on the fly. Texans on the clock at 25. I think they also want to go offensive line here. Wide receiver is a need. I don't think there's anyone on the board that we want to go to at this point. Guard and center, again, the need for us. And then defensive interior. I think you can go Kelvin Banks from Texas here. There have been talks about moving him to the inside. I think because of his tackle experience and the athleticism that he has, that will benefit him on the inside as a guard, especially if you put him next to Laramie Tunsil. So I think the Texans here go Kelvin Banks Jr. at 25. Rams on the clock, pick 26. Here is where I think that other first-round linebacker comes off the clock. And that's going to be Jahai Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. Ravens on the clock here at pick 27. Wide receiver, tackle, edge, corner. It's a really, really solid offensive line, and I think they feel like they always find guys to come in and make a huge impact for the team. Tackle is a need, but you can also look to throw somebody on the inside, make adjustments, move some things around. But as it stands, I'm going to go Armand Mimbao from Missouri at 27 to the Baltimore Ravens. I had a joke about tight ends, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to Mark Andrews. I'm not going to do it. Y'all killed him enough. Hatred. Lions on the clock at pick 28. In version 1 and version 2 of this mock draft, the Lions were picking after the Eagles and after the Chiefs. They actually had pick 32. Now they get to pick above those teams. And I think with that, they go and get the edge rusher that they like and not whoever falls to them. And so with that, I can see JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State being the selection at 28. Now you got JT on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. Woo. Crazy pass rush. Commanders on the clock at 29. One of the surprise teams of the 2024 NFL season in the NFC Championship game against their division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this team protects their investment. Jaden Daniels has come in and he has exceeded expectations. And I think you need to protect that investment. You have pieces elsewhere. You have wide receivers. You've got running backs. You could look to upgrade the tight end. Yeah, you can add another wide receiver, but let's look to focus on that later on in the 2025 NFL draft. But right here, tackle is a need. And I'm going to go Josh Connerly Jr., tackle from Oregon at 29. Bills are on the clock. They got some needs. They have wide receiver listed as a need. But Khalil Shakir played well. You have Keon Coleman, who you drafted last year. So give him some time to develop. And you may be able to hold on to Amari Cooper. So while I see Luther Burden III here, I'm not going to go wide receiver at this time. I think we take a look at the defensive side of the ball. I think we take a look at the secondary. And I think we take a look at that cornerback group. And Trey Amos from Ole Miss is on the board. And I think you bring him into the fold to strengthen that cornerback room. So I'm going to go Trey Amos here at pick number 30. Eagles are on the clock. Now, could they go Luther Burden? Sure, they could. There is some rumblings that A.J. Brown might not be back. Take that with a grain of salt. And even so, we still have the Slim Reaper on the other side. And I think we can get wide receiver in the later rounds. And we only have 2 picks left. The Chiefs aren't going wide receiver. So there's an opportunity for Luther Burden to slip into the second round. Now, will you likely have to trade up? I don't think he falls to the end of the second round. So you're going to have to trade up to go get him. But if he's still on the board, that means some of these other receivers are on the board. And let's look at this receiver group, which I think is a good group. Luther Burden, Matthew Golden is here, Xavier Restrepo, Jaden Higgins is here, Isaiah Bond is here, Tez Johnson is here, Trey Harris is here, Jalen Noel is here. Like, there's some guys. Kyron Lacey's here. There's some guys you can get in these later rounds. So I think the Eagles continue to make a strength of their team a strength. I think they continue to add edge rushers like they need anymore. But I think they continue to add edge rushers. And you put a guy like Mike Green opposite Nolan Smith, like Detroit, that's going to be super crazy. Super crazy. I'm going to go Mike Green from Marshall at 31. And then finally, the Chiefs are on the clock. I think they look to upgrade and enhance that offensive line. Who's left? Wyatt Millum from West Virginia. But I'm a bigger fan of Cameron Williams from Texas. And so I think that is the pick. Cameron Williams from Texas at pick 32 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's going to wrap it up. Travis Hunter takes the pole position in V3 of this mock draft. We're just going to scroll a little bit, let you read those names. We're not going to go over all 32 because we just did it, but we'll let you take a quick look and see here. 1 through 16 and 17 through 32. Listen, y'all, this is my absolute favorite time of the year. Absolute favorite time of the year. And so again, this is V3 of our 2025 first round mock draft. We'll have another one next week after the results of conference championship weekend. And then we will have another one following the results of the Super Bowl. And then we'll continue to do these as, changes happen, as new coaches are hired, as there are first round draft pick trades, after the combine, after the Senior Bowl, things of that nature. We'll do a bunch of these. And then always we do full 7-round mock drafts for every single one of the 32 NFL teams. So be on the lookout for that. Conference championship weekend. Let's talk about it real quick. We have the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Washington Commanders. And we have the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Buffalo Bills. Now, if I wanted to be safe, I would say we have a Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs, Eagles. But I'm not going to be safe. And I'm not going to be completely crazy and say we're going to have Bills Commanders. I think the Commanders and Eagles are going to be a good game. The Commanders were able to beat the Eagles in the season, but that was a different Eagles team. Some injuries, other guys didn't play, and so they were able to find a way to come back and get a win. Can this Commanders team beat a fully healthy, maybe not fully healthy, but all starters on the field and playing? Again, this Commanders team is a good team. They're a young team. As I said last week, they don't know what they don't know, right? So they are just playing football. They don't have any expectations. They're playing football and they're playing to win. But I think this Eagles team, the way they're playing right now, is just a little bit too powerful for the Commanders team at this time. But I think that is going to be a divisional matchup to be excited about for years to come. So against my better judgment, just because I don't like their fans, I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. And on the other side, if he is the player that I think he is, Josh Allen don't care about nothing that happened in the regular season. Yeah, it helped us. It helped our record. It put us in the position that we were in. But I don't care nothing about what happened in the regular season. I need to beat this dude when it counts. I had an opportunity years ago, and my defense let me down. I'm not going to allow that to happen. It's going to be a good game. It's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be close. But I'm picking Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to exercise that demon and to thwart Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs' attempt to go after a three-peat. I don't want that team to be the first team to three-peat. It could be anybody else. Like, right now, they're the number one on the list. I don't want the Chiefs to three-peat. I don't want the Cowgirls to three-peat. I don't want the Seahawks to three-peat. Ugh. Seahawks, Rams, or Cardinals. None of them to three-peat. And then I'll put the Eagles there. I mean, I don't know why I'm showing the Eagles so much love. This is beyond me. I gotta get out. I'm showing the Eagles too much love. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, your comments, your analysis of your teams, they have all been great. Whether you agree with my pick or disagree with my pick, none of that matters. Your opinion matters. I take those into account when I read those comments as I'm continuing to do research on these teams. So if you disagree with my pick, it's okay. Tell me in the comment section. Do it with love. Because I ain't no little dude. And if I catch you in the street and you was talking slick, we might have... I ain't threatening nobody. I'm just telling you. I ain't a killer, but don't push me. I love and appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all in our first round mock draft V4. Peace.